Welcome to Florida Focus, a college football podcast. My name is Brandon. I am a lifetime Florida State Seminole fan.
And I am Chris, and I am an honored Gator fan.
And we are putting aside our differences as rivals to bring you the fantastic world of college football throughout the Sunshine State. And Chris, it's finally here, the second annual Florida Focus Awards. We have a little bit of shakeup in the categories, which I'll go through in a second. But, man, this was tough, as usual, to kind of limit down who are the best players in the state and get the superlatives this year.
Yes, and there are 7 teams to choose from, and how many guys are on a roster, and games played and plays played. So, yeah, it was tough to choose, but this is a time of the year I kind of look forward to going back and looking and ranking and picking who's better than who and having that debate and discussion.
Absolutely. So we put together our list. We have assigned point values, much like the AP does. And here are the categories that we're going to be giving awards out to tonight. Chris, we have Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Special Teams Player of the Year, Game of the Year. This would be any game that a Florida team played in. And Best Player Name in the state of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm really excited about that one. That was fun. That was really fun to look. Some interesting names.
Indeed. I'm laughing just thinking about it.
Yeah.
So, good stuff. So we'll do it in that order as well. For each category, we're going to name the finalist. For the offensive category alone, I'm going to give you 5 finalists, since that one was a little closer than the rest. Every other category, I'll just give 3. So, without further ado, Chris, you ready to get started?
Oh, I am.
Okay. So here are our finalists for Offensive Player of the Year. Florida Focus Awards, second annual. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
No particular order. We have Gabe Davis, wide receiver, UCF. Kyle Trask, quarterback, Florida. Cam Akers, running back, Florida State. Harrison Bryant, tight end, Florida Atlantic. Dylan Gabriel, quarterback, UCF.
Yeah. Some names that are familiar, some like Kyle Trask that kind of stuck out and you didn't expect to see have as good of a year or even play or even be on this finalist list. And, of course, another name that sticks out, obviously, Cam Akers, what he did for Florida State, and Harrison Bryant winning the Mackey Award, along with the guys from UCF and the high-powered offense that they represent.
Sure. And usually this is a list that's dominated by quarterbacks. There's only 2 out of 5 for our list this year. So that's what stood out to me. And a wide receiver that stood out in Gabe Davis at UCF. Trask doing it with 2 or 3 less games under his belt. Dylan coming in as well later in the season, too.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and announce it, Chris. May I have the envelope, please?
Of course.
And the winner is Cam Akers, running back, Florida State.
Yes.
And that makes sense, right? Without him, I would think our team is a 4 or 5 win team. To be completely honest, he carried the Noles, and you were right. What a season and what a comeback for him this year.
Yeah, especially the first half of the season. I know that he's had his issues with fumbling, and you didn't know which game you're going to get, but the first half of the year, he definitely carried Florida State offensively, running, receiving, and a little bit of the wild cam throwing the ball.
Yes, so he carried the team, and he carried the rock. 231 carries this season, 1,144 yards, 14 touchdowns on the ground. Didn't just do it there, caught passes too. Caught 30 catches, 225 yards, and 4 touchdowns. 18 total touchdowns on the season. That equals the amount of touchdowns he got his first 2 years combined, Chris.
Wow. Huge jump. And I know that we kind of saw that in the second half of the season, and we talked about it, like the workload, was going to wear down him, and it did a little bit.
Right.
But still, what a great season he had, being the catalyst in that offense.
Yeah. So I was glad to see that we both agreed that he was indeed the best player. It's really hard to overlook. Actually, we had a tie, you and I did, between Gabe Davis and Kyle Trask, how these guys both contributed to their team. Obviously, Trask came in with an offense where he just kind of still made it his own and got the passing yards done. And then Gabe Davis, man, this guy just did not slow down this year. He was catching passes all over the place, and if he didn't have at least 5, it was a bad game for him.
All right. Yeah, and then Bryant from FAU. You think maybe Ohio State, Alabama, teams like that's going to get your tight end um, award, but he took it, having a great year at FAU and being at the front of the lane train.
Yeah. I mean, wide receiver number, 65 catches, 1,000 yards, 7 TDs.
Yeah.
First group of 5 tight end to ever win the Mackey Award. So congratulations to him.
But at the end of the day, I think it's Cam Akers, especially if you think about the offensive line that they had this year. For anybody to be productive, it says a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah. All right, Cam Akers, congratulations for Offensive Player of the Year.
Yep.
Well deserved. So our next award, secondly, we have Defensive Player of the Year. 3 finalists in no particular order. Shaq Quarterman, linebacker, Miami Hurricanes. Jonathan Grenard, defensive end, Florida. Hamza Nasruddin, cornerback, Florida State University.
And yeah, again, there's some names that you knew were going to be on there, some names that stuck, that like, whoa, surprised you a little bit. Quarterman being the veteran linebacker from Miami, again, having a great season. And you kind of knew a little bit about Grenard because he played at Louisville, but didn't know how he was going to translate. But Nasruddin was the one guy that really stuck out as a playmaker for Florida State, and especially that secondary that overall had its issues and had its struggles, but he was that lone bright spot in the secondary and on that defense.
Yes, everything you said about Hamza is absolutely correct. With Quarterman, I've always loved his leadership skills, and he took a step forward with his performance this year. You mentioned Grenard with his transfer and just being almost a perfect fit for Grantham's system.
Right, yeah, and obviously he worked with Grantham before, so that was a nice transition, and he turned out to be a great leader as well for the Gators this year too. Not only with his play, but in the locker room as well.
Excellent. All right. Without further ado, Chris, may I have the envelope, please?
Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
The winner is Jonathan Grenard, University of Florida defensive end. And man, what a season he had. And he actually kind of separated himself from the rest of the pack this year with his performance. Yeah.
And that was a spot that you saw that can have success with Polite and CeCe Jefferson last year. And it was so crucial to have him, a veteran guy, come in, fill that spot, who knew the defense, knew the terminology, and really was the leader on defense. Maybe you could say David Reese was, but you really felt it in the games that he got hurt and was not there. You really saw the lack of pressure on the Florida defense. But yeah, he came in and we have 9.5 sacks on the season.
Yes.
He's been returned a fumble for a touchdown, I believe, against Vanderbilt. But yeah, very huge pickup for the Gators in the offseason, filling in a spot that was sorely needed to be filled.
Yes, and I really saw his versatility this season. 4 pass breakups on the edge, just not as easy to do. If you're focused on getting the quarterback or getting the sack, your hands aren't usually up, so he shows his versatility there. 3 forced fumbles, 50 tackles, and you mentioned the 9.5 sacks. Yeah, he's an all-around great guy, and he's going to have a great future at the next level for sure.
Yeah, he definitely earned a spot in the NFL this year because in Louisville, maybe not, maybe you might late round, but I think he's definitely been playing on Sundays because of this season.
Sure. And then a quick thought on Hamza Nasruddin. You're right. A very bright spot on a defense that struggled a lot for Florida State. And an honorable mention player, we just got to throw this out there. Biko Dotson, a corner for Florida Atlantic, 9 interceptions on the season. Tied for first in the nation. That's just crazy. Right place, right time. I think there's maybe the reason you and I didn't vote him higher. I'm not sure. It's just interceptions and turnover in general. Kind of a little bit of luck involved. But that much, it can't all be luck. There has to be some skill involved too. So
right.
Just a quick note on that.
That's good. He deserves a shout out for sure.
Yep. Okay. Jonathan Grenard taking away the hardware. I love it. All right. Got one for each team so far.
Yep.
Got a Nolan and a Gayer. Let's see what we have next. So the next category is Special Teams Player of the Year.
And before we go further, let's just acknowledge that Yes, we have huge biases with Florida State. So they're going to get out in maybe even Miami and UCF. Obviously, they're going to get more of our attention, and our votes are definitely going to weigh heavier on our those players. But we do try to include all seven teams in the state of Florida for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, they start off every show. I'm a Noel fan, you're a Gator, so
Right.
I think the community can expect that. But that's a really good point, and I don't think all of our winners last year were all Gators and Noles. I'd have to check. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we also have to take into account level of competition.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And the other schools play in the American or Conference USA. So you have to compare it with the teams you're up against, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know for sure. Off the top of my head, Offensive Player of the Year was Mackenzie Milton last year. So
Yeah,
there's UCF night there. But good point. I'm glad you brought that up, Chris. Thank you for inserting that.
Yeah, I try.
Yeah, you try. Well, you succeed, sir. You succeed.
Thanks.
Yeah. Third category, Special Teams Player of the Year. So I'm going to break trend here a little bit. I'm going to announce 4. There was a tie for one of these ranks. In no particular order, Special Teams Player of the Year. Tommy Townsend, punter, Florida. Jose Borregales, kicker, Florida International. Lou Headley, punter, Miami. Evan McPherson, kicker, Florida.
Yeah. The name that is old are the two Gators, but what's the I forgot. You just said his name from Miami, the punter, Headley. That's what it was. I remember when he was going to Miami, and it's you look at this guy. Oh, he's Aussie. He's got all these tattoos, but can he really punt? Can it really translate? And at first, I remember the first half of the year, we were talking maybe off air about he not that impressive, but he came on second half of the season. It was really a weapon for the Hurricanes.
Sure. Yes, and that's when Miami had a lot of offensive struggles. That's actually what kind of kept them afloat or kept them in games was his punting ability. Jose Borregales for FIU, he's actually one of the reasons why they beat the Canes this season. Is because he had 3 field goals in that game. Townsend continues to be accurate with his punting, although Florida has needed him less and less, which is always a good problem to have. And then McPherson having a good percentage on the year.
Yeah.
So, all right. Without further ado, may I have the envelope, please, my dear good sir?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Hang on. I'm trying to open it here. You didn't open it all the way.
Oh, my bad.
That's all right. I'm going to rip it a little more. That did it. Thank you.
Okay.
Awesome. So the winner is, for the second year in a row, Evan McPherson, kicker for the Florida Gators.
Yes. He's money. I don't know if they call him Money McPherson, but they might need to start calling him that.
Yes.
Went like 17 for 19, I think, 2 years in a row for field goals.
Right.
And I think the only missed extra point was the Florida State game.
Correct.
But any distance really, in the 40s, in the 30s, 20s, he's almost automatic. Obviously, he missed a couple there, but he's almost automatic, and you can count on him to get you some points.
Yeah. Great asset to have on the team, especially if you know the game's going to be close and you're just not going to be able to finish some drives here and there. Townsend still been able to place punts is really nice. Borregales, he's had his struggles a little bit, but he's still good enough. I just found out today he's transferring to Miami.
I saw that.
So basically, he had a good enough season. Miami says, well, he beat us, so I guess he's good enough to be our kicker now. But Miami's kicking woes were just bad.
Yeah, if you can't beat him, have him come to your
exactly
team.
And I made peace with Lou Headley. What stuck out to me here was just there were no returners this season that kind of made our finalist.
Good point.
Otis Anderson would have kind of been up there, but he didn't quite start returning kicks about halfway through the season. He did have one punt return for a touchdown, but all of our actual finalists here were the specialists himself.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. We're rolling. All right. 2 Gators won the award, so your team was pretty good this year after all. We already knew that.
No comment.
All right, moving on to our fourth category. This will be Game of the Year. So really the only note here and criteria we had was it had to be a team from the state of Florida involved. So here are the three finalists, Games of the Year. UCF at Pittsburgh, Boise State at Florida State, and Miami versus FIU. This was technically a neutral site game in Miami.
Yeah, a lot of interesting games. Honestly, when I was going through the list, the thing that surprised me a little bit was Florida didn't have any down to the wire last minute nail biter games. Obviously they had the three big games, Auburn, LSU, and Georgia, and they were close and they played well, but they weren't really involved in the classics, if you will.
Yeah, that's a good point. The games that they maybe fell behind in just weren't that close. Boise State at FSU, this was neutral site that moved to Tallahassee. It had a lot of elements that you'd want. You have a big comeback. You have some flashy offenses. UCF at Pitt, the Panthers got up to a huge lead. UCF comes back to take a lead, only for it to be a dramatic finish. And then Miami FIU, what a cool game, and to see the Panthers kind of come out with that one.
Yeah, that was definitely a fun game. Surprising end to that UCF Pitt game. We knew it was going to be close, but we're just not used to UCF losing. So them losing and the way they did was fun to see that. And then the Boise State game, with everything that was surrounding it prior to the game, and just how they came back. And you kind of saw a trend start for FSU for a little bit there with this game.
Yep. Yes, indeed. All right. Chris, may I have the fourth envelope, please?
Yes.
All right. And the winner for Game of the Year is Miami versus FIU. The Panthers upset the Canes 30-24. So, like we said, entertainment value, but some further thoughts you had on this matchup?
I just thought it was really cool that it was like a quote-unquote neutral site game, playing where the Marlins play. Baseball, they converted into a football field. It was just really cool to see that. It provided some weird camera angles, to be honest.
Right.
But the way that FIU just came out on fire and just offense, defense, special teams was just the better team. And Miami, to their credit, they made it interesting a little bit late in the game there. But this is a case of little brother always talks like, hey, I can beat big brother, but now they get a chance to do it, and they did it.
Yeah. And they were killing Miami at first.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't even close for about three quarters.
Yeah.
They had a huge lead, and it's actually a good thing they kind of actually expanded that lead a little more in the second half because, like you said, Miami did have that surge. But what a game. UCF Pitt was certainly fun. I mean, Pittsburgh, I think, had a 17-0 lead at this point or something like that in this game. The Knights come back. They start getting it done in ways they don't usually, which is they abandon the run. They got a special teams touchdown, and they started drawing penalties, and that's, to their credit, good coaching. And to see the Knights go down in regular season for the first time in 2.5 years, you're right. There was definitely a shock element.
Yeah, and the way they lost on that, did they go for two?
It was fourth and goal.
Yeah, okay.
They were down by 6.
Yeah, okay, and they did the Philly/Pitt special trick play. Yeah, that was as a fan, it was really cool to see. But that's got to be a heartbreaking loss for sure.
Yes, most definitely. And then Boise at Florida State. I don't want to really relive that one.
I do, but I'll respect it.
I mean, what made that one even more exciting was it was the first game of the year. You have a new coordinator in place. You have new coaching. Right. You have some players coming back. You have the Scary Terry mask. You have a lot of cool things that happen there. But the Knowles just fizzled out at the end. And so, credit to Boise going on the road and winning in a semi-hostile environment.
A different environment than
we
used to.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Great. Having fun. Rolling right along.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So our last category is Best Player Name.
Yes.
So this will round out the Florida Focus Awards second annual presentation. So let me give you the three finalists here, Chris.
Okay.
I'm trying not to laugh with these because they're funny. We have Tony Gator. That's spelled Gaiter. Tony Gator the fourth.
Right.
He's a wide receiver for Florida National. We have Hamza Nasruddin. Hamsah Nasirildeen. He's a corner for Florida State. And we have Eddie McDoom. That last name is McDoom. He's a wide receiver for South Florida. Mm-hmm. So those are our 3 finalists.
Yeah, I mean, I'll wait till after we announce the.
Okay.
Get into it because there's a lot of honorable mentions too that I want to talk about.
There are.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, go ahead and hand me the envelope, and then we'll get going.
All right. Here you go.
That's the sloppiest handoff ever. You made so much. All right.
It's getting late in the game.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
I need to hydrate. All that stuff.
All right. And the winner is Eddie McDoom, wide receiver, South Florida.
Yeah, absolutely. You got it. I mean, I just have to say, as a comic book fan, there's a character, Dr. Doom, the villain.
Yeah.
And I get visions of him going out there catching a pass. But Doom is a pretty cool name, but McDoom just adds a little bit of regalness to it.
Yeah. Ooh, regalness. Yes.
I don't know. Is that a word, regalness? Can we make it a word?
We can. We will make it a word for today.
All right.
Just for today. Yeah, I like that one too. I've never been shy about liking Hamza Nasruddin. Yeah. And he had a pretty good season too. He was a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
And then Tony Gator, I'm kind of surprised that my vote kind of pushed him up into the finalist category because, it's obviously a playoff of the UF Gators.
Right.
But it is kind of funny to me that he ends up at a different school.
Yeah, no. You'd think that he would just have a straight path to there.
Exactly. Full ride or something.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, I'm going to let you go. You said you had some other people honorable mentions, and I have some as well, so you go right ahead.
I just Miami's kicker Bubba Baxa. That sounds fun to say. Florida has a tight end Keon Zipperer. Zipperer. Let's see. Killings was fun at UCF. Sorry, I'm already laughing. UF has a kicker. I think he's like a walk-on or whatever. But Tyler Waxman.
Oh, he's a kicker. I wasn't sure where he was playing. Okay.
He's low on the list, but he was there. I think walk-on or scout team or something. But
okay.
Waxman's always a good one. And FIU has a D lineman, Tyre Tart.
Yeah, saw that.
It's solid name. You got any other ones that stick out?
I did. This one's a little harder to pronounce, so I apologize if I get it wrong. It is a UCF defensive lineman, Dedrion Bacote Sweat.
Bacote Sweat.
Maybe it's Bacote. It's BACOTE-SWEAT. Love that one. Your boy, Mohamed Diabate. Come on. That's a fun name.
Well, I think it's like Mahamud or something like that. But still.
See, I didn't get it right. Well,
and honestly, I've heard announcers and reporters say it 17 different ways.
Okay.
But Diabate is pretty close to the last name. That's a fun one.
Gotcha. Jabari Zuniga just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
Florida State has a third or fourth string quarterback, Alex Eliasame, and it's spelled real funky. So that was just kind of fun when you run across the depth chart. I did see Zipperer, which I did. I'm like, it's not just Zipper, it's Zipperer. It's got the extra ER, which makes it even better. And then there is a guy, the long snapper for FIU. His name is Tommy Zozus. Zozus. Just credit for throwing 2 Z's in the name. I'm impressed.
The rare. Is that like extra points in Scrabble?
Yes. Triple word, triple letter.
Something like that.
And the Z's aren't together. That's what's even more impressive.
Oh, true. Yeah. Good observation there.
Yes. All right. Yeah. So the offer still stands. And Chris, I'm not joking when I say this. I would invite all of the winners of these awards to come on the show and receive their trophy.
Yes.
I have one waiting for them. We would love to have them on. So did you want to do a quick recap and get all the winners out again?
Yeah. So, offense, We have Cam Akers, running back from Florida State. Defense, we have Jonathan Grenard, D-end out of UF. Special teams, we have Evan McPherson, kicker from UF. The game of the year, we have FIU beating Miami in Miami at a neutral site game. And then, sorry, I just can't. Best name, USF has a wide receiver named Eddie McDoom.
Yes, they do, and our lives are better for it.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. So we mixed up the categories a little bit from last season. We're going to keep some that'll carry over. You and I were talking earlier, Chris. We might even introduce some new ones next season or bring back some old ones.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Looking forward to it.
Yes. All right. Well, always a good time, Chris. How can the fans reach out to us if they have their opinions or they think, man, you guys totally forgot this guy or you should mix up your order? How can they give that feedback?
Go to FloridaFocusPodcast.com. You can listen to old episodes. You can, like Brandon said, contact us. Let us know if you have a category that you really like or that we're missing. Again, tell us where we got it wrong.
All right. And some options that we've given for you to support the show would be patreon.com/FloridaFocusPodcast. I'm just going to have a gentle reminder out there. If we've ever given you some feedback or we've ever given you some value from the content, we would appreciate a donation. It starts at $1 a month. That's all we ask. We're going to give you in exchange a handwritten thank you card and some secret content that other people won't get. So for this episode today, for instance, you'll get the pre-show audio of us talking about everything beforehand. So that'll be in a Patreon exclusive offer. We also ask that you give feedback in the form of a review. Whatever podcast player you use, we would appreciate a comment and a star rating.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, I had fun today, Chris. Anything else you'd like to add before we sign off for the second annual Florida Focus Awards?
Again, second year in a row, I forgot to wear my tux. I feel so embarrassed.
Jeez. We need to make like an official like red carpet kind of deal. Like they have at the Pro Bowl or something. We need to look into this for sure.
Oh man, let's see if it's in the budget.
Yep. Well, we'll make it happen.
Okay, good. All right.
Awesome. Well, thank you to the fans community. This is Brandon saying, go Noles.
Go Gators.